Hello, my name is Robert and welcome to the very first development update for our game. So the name of the game is Matic. It's a cleanup or destruction game, meaning you're put into a level and you either have to get the lowest score or the highest score, depending on what you want to do, by either cleaning up or making more of a mess. The first thing that we did for the game was get some basic code into the game so the player could interact with the world and pick up objects. We wanted to have three main tools that the player will use to pick up objects and interact with the world. These were the hand tool, the mover tool, and the blower tool. Once these were all in the game, we then needed a way to switch between each of these tools. We then coded in a simple tool selection wheel so that you could select between the different tools. The textures used for this is only basic textures just so we could get the code in. We also wanted to have a comic book style to our game, so we added in these black outlines to every object. This was done with a post-processing volume, which we can turn off and on. This affects every object in the world and it doesn't need any editing. You can just drag an object in and it will affect it. Now we have the player interacting with the world in a comic style that we really like. We wanted to make some desk items that we could lay out and scale. We wanted to have the player be really small compared to the other items like scissors and tub and Lego. This means when you're picking up an object, it might be harder to move around than first thought because it's bigger and heavier. The next step is to put all the assets that we made into the level with a desk so we could get the final scaling of all the items that would fit the level. This was a lot of trial and error to get everything to the right size, but we got there eventually. After all the objects are placed in the level, we wanted to get them textured so we could get a good look to the game. While these items were getting textured, we was also working on gameplay code. The gameplay code consisted of where items needed to be put and what would happen to them if they were thrown off the edge. There is also a score that needs to be added so that when the game finishes, the player knows how well or badly they've done. The score is simply how many items that can be moved are left not cleaned up or sorted. To get a lower score, the items need to be placed in the correct part. So for the Lego, we have a Lego bin here and a box around it that detects when other Lego bricks are placed inside, which will lower the score. This is the same for all other items. Then we moved on to when an item gets thrown off the world, what would happen. So at first we wanted to have everything just get destroyed so that it wouldn't break the game. This meant that if you wanted to get a low score, you could just throw everything off the edge and you'd get a score of 0. We kept this for the paper because we didn't have a place to put the paper that we thought was correct. We later on made it so that if a Lego brick or a rubber gets thrown off the edge, 2 more would spawn in the world. This makes more of a mess so you can get a higher score. The last thing to do for the code was get a timer in so that the player didn't have just infinite range and that the game would end eventually. This was done so we could add in a blueprint and change the timer of the level, and that would change how long the level will last for. The next step was polishing up the game a bit, giving it some menus buttons so you could get around the menus. As well, we wanted to finish up the level so that a person could come in and understand what to do. This meant adding in some post-it notes that would tell the player how to play the game and what to do. At this point, we felt that it was ready for us to put out and get some feedback from the game. This meant that we could give it out to a few game testers and they could give us their feedback. We got their feedback and we changed some bits of the code to fix the bugs that they were having. One main thing was if you was picking up an item, it now scales to 50%. This means as a player, you don't bump into the object as much and it's easier to walk around and see what you're doing. Once you let go of the item, it scales back up to normal. After all the bugs were fixed and we got feedback from the alpha testers, we started making the level look a bit nicer. This meant adding more models like doors, beds and drawers. Also, we added a room around the whole level and just added a few more items that would make the level a bit more friendly. At this point, we also changed the shadows that there'd be dots instead of black shadows. This gave it more of a comic book style and we really liked the look of it, so we kept it. To get the black dots working, we have to have a light function put on 2 directional lights. One directional light has black dots and does not cast a shadow, and the other one is inverted but does cast a shadow. This means that when they're both shining on a surface, they cancel each other out. But when the white dots are creating a shadow, it lets the black dots shine through, which gives us that shadow effect. Thank you guys for watching. That was the first ever development update for our game. We have a alpha 0.2 test of the game that will be in the link in the description, and you'll be able to play it and give us feedback. It would really help us if you guys would play the game and test it out and see what's fun, see what's not fun, so we can make the game better. Please like and subscribe, and see you in the next video.